Welcome back. In today's episode, we are going to continue from where we stopped in the previous episode. So in the previous episode, we are working on forms and we're working on the item. So we had worked on all these other forms, the category, unit, brand. All these ones are already saving data into the database. Okay. So what we want to see is continuing and do for the item, and in the item we are still missing some models. We had done the category, and by the way, it is raining raining around here, so if you hear some sort of background, it will be rain, but I guess we will be try to hear each other. I will try to increase maybe my voice so that you can hear, but otherwise let's move on. So what I'm just going to start with is going to be working on the supplier model, so that we use it in the we use it in the item. Okay, I'm just going to create a model for the supplier. So if you go back to our documentation, there is where you will see that here we can see the fields for the supplier. So the supplier has ID, has name, has phone number, has email, has address, has contact person, supplier code, payment terms, tax ID. Okay, and then the notes. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, model here, and I'm just going to bring it down here. Okay, and then for the ID, we know we just have to replace it with this which maps the default, so it is not an integer. And then we have the name, email, phone, contact person, supplier code, payment terms, tax ID, and the notes. Okay, so these are the things for the supplier. Okay, so we can have this model running for the supplier, and primarily I can add this model in if you check on our system. I'm going to work on putting it here in the I'm just going to put it here. So I'm just going to simply just duplicate this for the brand. So just come here where there is supplier, just replace it here. So this one is going to be supplier and is of the supplier, and then this one is going to be supplier ID. This one is going to be supplier ID. Okay, field is supplier ID, references ID in the supplier model, and then the only thing that we are just remaining is adding the items. So just copy this, just say that the supplier contains items. So you just come down here and add this here. Okay, So now with this, let me just go and run. The first thing I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do npm prisma migrate. It is not npm, npx. It is npx prisma migrate. Okay, so this is npx prisma migrate, and let's see. Did I run prisma migrate? It is not migrate. Sorry guys, it is npx prisma generate. Migrate, you do it when you are using a Postgres. If you are using a Postgres or SQLite, that's when you are doing the prisma migrate. But this one you do prisma generate. Okay, so this one generates as a new prisma client based on this, and I can go ahead and push. I'm just going to do npx prisma db push. So this one is to push all these models, and it's going to push them in our database. Okay. Okay, so you can see it has pushed all of them. I'm just going to go ahead and run our app npm run dev, and meanwhile what you can also do is npx prisma studio. Okay, we can run a prisma studio. Okay, I'm just going to drop this down. I can first check on this one. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this off, and all the models you can see we have them here. We have all these models including the supplier. Okay, that's great. Let me just go ahead and load the app. And as I said before, it is heavy raining here. I don't know if my voice is heard very well. And right now what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to move the supplier into these ones for easy creation. I'm just going to put one more link for the supplier here. So I will first go onto the sidebar. So I'm just going to go to back office. First, let me first go to dashboard, and let me go to sidebar, and I see if I need to add one more link. Okay, you can see here I have these links: inventory links, categories, brands, warehouse. I can just add one more link for the suppliers here. Okay, I'm just going to add the supplier. Okay, and that is great. And so we'll go also on top here. So go to back office dashboard and inventory, and we are going to add one more link. Okay, I will duplicate one of these ones. So I will create here a folder called supplier. Okay, and then inside I'm just going to copy, for instance, the warehouse new. So let me just copy the new from warehouse and paste it in the supplier. Okay, so inside the page we are just going to start creating the supplier, and before that let me first put the supplier onto the links. So there is this page here. So before this, after the units, I'm just going to put the supplier here. So you can just say supplier or suppliers descriptions. Then we have these. The links is going to be suppliers new, and then this one is new supplier, and then the icon for the supplier, I can just go to Lucid. You can just quickly go to Lucid icons, and I can say maybe user. Okay, I don't know, for the manufacturers. The manufacturers, there is this factory here. Let's use this icon. Factory. I'm just going to go to this. Just come here and you put factory from Lucid. Okay, that's great. So we can now go to supplier, and the icon is this one. If I click, first of all, let's close this sidebar and all these other ones. Let's close out all these ones. Okay, I'm just going to go to supplier, go to not API, just simply go to supplier here. First of all, this one is going to be new supplier. Okay, so if you look in the supplier, this one has to be API, and I'm just going to refactor this in a second, but right now let's first put supplier, and we test using this one actually. So I'm just going to go down here on the form. So let's look at the things for the supplier. First, we have the name, that is the title. I don't know if we put in the schema, what did we put? We put the name. Okay, so just going to go with the name. So we have we don't have any select input. Let me see. We don't have any select input, so I can just remove this. So the first one is the supplier's name. So you can just say supplier's name, and here we're just going to take as name. Okay, and then the second one is phone. Okay, text input supplier phone. And the name is going to be phone according to the schema. Okay, and then for the phone we can just leave it as text, or you could pass in the tail. You could pass in the tail type. Okay, but I'm just going to leave it as text. Then we go ahead, and here we have the supplier email, and this one is going to be email, and then we pass in the type. Okay, and type is going to be email. Okay, so next is supplier address. Okay, just add here supplier address. And here is going to be address. Okay, then there is contact person. And these ones, they have taken with this full. Let me first go up here. Just add this class name so that they take up a half of the columns. Okay, just next is supplier contact person. And this one is going to be contact person. Okay, next is supplier code. Okay, and here is supplier code. Let me copy this. Okay, and then next is payment terms, tax ID. Let me first put the tax ID, supplier TIN, and then here I'm just going to say tax ID. Okay, I'm just going to call it tax ID, and next is, so the last two is the payment terms and the notes. So those ones they are all going to be supplier code. This one. So the next is the text area input, and this one is going to be supplier payment terms, and this one is going to be terms, I guess, payment terms. This one is payment terms, and this one is going to take a full width plus the notes. Okay, so here you can just say notes, and then here is going to be notes. Okay, it also takes in a full, just like that. And then this one is a supplier, as simple as that. Okay, so let's try to see if we can load this. Okay, suppliers new, brands supplier. Let's look inside here. The folder here we have supplier. Let's rename this to suppliers. Okay. It is taking time to rename. Meanwhile, as it is renaming, I want to refactor this this function. I feel like we are writing a repetitive code, so we can make a function that can do this. Okay, we can create a function that can do this. We'll see. Not permitted. Let me first close this. And what I can just do also is just Control A, Control C, and I can go ahead and delete this whole thing. Let me close here. I can just go and delete. Okay. Okay, in the inventory, I'm just going to create a new folder, suppliers. Okay, suppliers, and inside there I'm just going to create a new folder which is new, and inside the new folder I'll create a file which is page.jsx, and I'm just going to paste in all this code. So now this should work. Okay, the title here, so just come on top here, new supplier. Okay, great. So you can see we have the name, the supplier phone, and let me try to charge. I don't know if I have internet here. Just try to connect internet just in case we need it. Okay, let me try to connect internet here. Okay, so we have the supplier email, supplier address, supplier contact person. So we have all this data, then supplier team. Then finally we have this payment terms. Now to make this look nice, I'm just going to make this one fill the whole screen. Okay, and that is the supplier team. I can remove this and then it will finish the whole okay, that is great. Okay, so this is the form for creating the new supplier. Okay, and we're just going to work on its endpoint. So I'm just going to go to the API in a second. So minimize this API. Let's create a new one called new folder called supplier or suppliers. Okay, and then inside I'm just going to copy one of these routes. Copy the route and go to suppliers, paste this here, and the data we are receiving here is going to be, first of all, db.supplier. So here we are getting the name. Okay, you can just open here. We have the name, we have the phone, we have the email, we have the address, and then we have contact person. So we have the contact here. You can put notes somewhere. So here we have contact person. Then we have the supplier code. We can just check at the what we gave it, supplier code. Okay, so we have here supplier code. Okay, next we have the tax ID. So we have tax ID, and then we have the payment terms, and let's see the name we called it. Payment terms is payment terms. So we have payment terms just like that, and then finally the notes. So this is what we have, and I can just simply copy all these, and I'm just going to copy them into the data here, and that's it. So you say const supplier is equal to await db, and make sure this db is imported from db from libs. dot create, and then we can console.log the supplier, and then even here we can return supplier, and here fate create a supplier. Okay, so this is great. So back to the page, what I want to try is I want to try to create a function here. Okay, I'll just try to create a function that takes in all these things. So if I came and created a function called makeAPI_request, so in the libs, I'm just going to minimize here, and in my lib I'm just going to create a new function. I'm just going to call it API request dot API request.js. Okay, and here I'm just going to say export async function make API request. Okay, make API request, and I'm just going to put this try catch. Sorry for that. I'm just going to copy this try catch, just going to paste this try catch here. Okay, so this is the request we want to make. Okay, so first of all, we have already the base URL. I can bring this also the base URL. Just going to bring this here, the base here. I'm just going to make the base URL just like that. And also what I can also bring in is this set loading. Okay, I can also bring in set loading to true. So one of the things you can see, we can first bring in set loading, and this set loading will be used here. Base URL, we have it. Okay, now in this response, what is important is the API request that we are making. Okay, and now to simplify this, I'm just going to leave the base this side. You are going to see why. I'm just going to leave this one, the base URL this side, so that I can pass in this whole thing. Let me see. Let us see. So the only thing that is changing is this API supplier. Okay, that is the only thing that is changing. Okay, so in fact we can call this as URL. Okay, we can call this as a URL. and since the just do URL just like that, and this URL can simply go here. Can simply go there. I think we can just simply pass in the endpoint. Just say base URL stroke here. This will be the endpoint, like stroke the endpoint API suppliers, or like that. Yeah, so I'm just going to call this one the endpoint, and in the endpoint will be stroke this one, so it will be dollar endpoint. Okay, so we pass in the endpoint. Okay, that is great. And then method, so we can pass in the method. Make API requests. Make API requests. I'm just going to do this. I'm not feeling just good about it. Just make this one URL. I'm just going to make this one entire the URL, and then you can pass in also the method if you want it, but I can first leave this. Let me just put here URL. Okay, then we have method post, headers, and then we have data. So you can see we are using data here. Okay, and we have response is okay. And by the way, here we can put errors, and we can always put we have set loading first of all to false, and then toast.error. I'm just going to test the error. Something went wrong. Something went wrong. Okay, just like that. And then we have to pass in this message. Okay, and maybe we could just say create it as the message. We could pass in the entire message, or we could just say new whatever was created successfully, and you can see what is changing is only this one. Maybe we call it maybe message title or something, and we can just call it resource name, the resource we are creating. Okay, and then this resource name is going to be used in creating this, so you can just put here also the backticks, and then we can say new, and here we pass in the resource name new whatever created successfully, so you can have that. Then you have to pass in the reset function. We have to pass in the reset, and then we have to make this async. Is already async, and I think that's it. Okay, I think these are the only things we have to pass in for now. Let me try to use this. Okay, just go to page, and where there is all this let's remove all this, and we are leaving the base URL, by the way. Okay, so a second, I'm just going to come here. They say make API requests, and let me get this from libs. Now for this, I'm just going to pass in the URL first. You can pass in the URL just like that, and this is base URL API suppliers, and now you can remove all this. So you can see now, very short and clean. Remove this set loading. Okay, we can just say make API request. Set loading is equal set loading. Okay, then we have this as the URL. Then we have the data as data. We have resource name as, this one is the supplier, and then we pass in the reset function, which is reset, and this should be okay. Let's go and wait for our errors. I'm just going to go to the console here, and I see if I will have some errors. Clear all this, and we can reload. Okay, I'm just going to use a fake filler to fill in some data and click it is initiated here. Saving supplier, please wait. The data was consoled here. Let's see. It did not go through. First of all, they are saying here reference toast is not defined. Okay, so we have to get the toast, and toast we can get from this side, I guess. So just come and get toast. It is globally. So we are just going to try once again. Okay, save supplier, and the first thing is something went wrong, and they say here HTTP blah blah. Let's go to the console and we see what the problem is. And here looks like it created it, but they're saying Prisma supplier, there was a problem. It's a unique constraint failed on the supplier code. Okay, so I'm trying to create the same resource again. Okay, that's great. Let us try some new information. Reload. Okay, and let's just use a fake filler. Save. Okay, new supplier created successfully, and everything was cleared, and that seems like it worked. Let's go this side and let's load the supplier. And you see we have two of them. being created, and that means we can literally go and change all the stuff. So this is working properly for now. Okay. And make API request. I feel that name is general, and this one specifically is a post. We could just say make post request. I don't know, make post request or make API request, because we also have one for fetching data. We'll have one for fetching data. So what we just say, I'm just going to say make post request. So this is for making post a post request, and I'm just going to use it in the page, and this is just going to be make post request. Okay, and let's remove the other one, and I use the code this, and also the post request is nowhere, this one. Now they just have it as make post request, and some of these things here, they are not there. Icons, React, the toast. Okay, that's great. So I'm just going to make one more to confirm everything is okay. Refresh. Okay, just simply create here, saving supplier, please wait. Okay, new supplier created successfully. Okay, so what we're just going to do is I'm just going to change to go and just copy this line of code, and I'll just go to all these ones, the warehouse. I'm just going to refactor our code. So just go into this where there is all this try catch, just replace it with this one. Okay, and here is going to be API warehouse. API warehouse, and here it is warehouse as the resource, and that should be it. Now just go to the warehouse and test this. So new warehouse. Okay, let's refresh. Here we have the branch. They just say warehouse title is maybe sales point. Okay, and then this one is going to be in Kasese. Warehouse description. This is my description, and let's just say save warehouse. We already have one error. Make post request is not defined. Okay, please let's make sure we import this, and let me reload again. Okay, make sure and guys, do not allow to have a lot of issues on your console. please make sure as you are running your code, you are clearing all the issues here. If you have any issues in red here, please first work on them. Okay, you can see mine says no issues, and this ensures that when you're just going to be deploying, you have no issues, much issues. Okay, just try again. Sales point. Okay, so I'm just going to try to say, and I'm just going to say this is a test description. Okay, this is a test description. Save warehouse. So let's just go ahead. Okay, new warehouse created successfully. So this is good. Okay, so just go and do the same thing to copy this. Let's move up. So we are done with warehouse units. Okay, I'm just going to go to units. So this try catch, remove it, just make post request, and let's import the method, and here we are just having units, API units, and here is, and would have actually made the end, only put the endpoint. I feel like we are repeating again this base URL. Yeah, like this base URL logically would be in only one place. Okay, let me just go a bit to the supplier a bit. I'm just going to cut this base URL, and instead I'm just going to remove this and only pass this API just like that, and this is going to be the endpoint. Okay, I'm just going to instead go to this function here, and I make this one as endpoint. Okay, and this is going to have the base. Let's have the base URL here. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and bring this from like the warehouse. Let me just take this, all this. Okay, let's take it to this API request. So here is going to be this base URL, which is this one, and then we pass in the endpoint. So it's just going to be $endpoint, because at the end of the day, when you are deploying, you will have this base URL coming from the environmental variables and come to only one place instead of going to all the files. Okay, it will be going to only one place here. So this one is going to be await fetch base URL, and we pass in the endpoint, and in this case a endpoint will be just like as simple as that. So let's start with suppliers. So here it is this, and then you pass in, you don't even need to pass in the backticks, you can just pass in normally with double quotes, just like that, and an API endpoint. I'm just going to copy the same thing to the warehouse. Okay, so here what we just remove the base URL, and then we only leave this. Okay, we only leave this, and I'm just going to remove these backticks, they are not necessary right now. This should remain the same. Let's go to units, do the same thing, just leave API units. Okay, just like that. Okay, and here is unit, the resource name. To test this, if it is working, I'm just going to test using the units. So go down to units, and let me just create a new unit called this time just going to create liters, and liters is L, or you could try RTR just like that, and this is save unit. Okay, new unit created successfully. That's great. So just move up. So I'll just simply remove this base URL. It is not required here. Okay, I'm just going to say make this, and even this set loading is not required. So just simply copy this, and let's move up. Make sure everything is okay. Set loading is not required. Okay, even into, so we're done with units. Okay, supplier, let's make sure everything is looking good. Okay, then items, of course we'll be back to the items, but I just put this. Okay, this try catch, you can remove all this. Okay, and then put this. First of all, get this. Okay, then this one is API items, and this is item. Okay, we just leave this at that. We will test it later. Go to categories, and just simply remove all this. Okay, just say make a post request, and just get this. This is for the category, so this API categories, and then here is the category. Okay, let's go and test that. So I'm just going also to change for the brand. Okay, I will change for the brand. Just come here on try catch, just remove all this up to loading, make API post request, and then get this set loading API. This one is the brands, and then this one is brand. Let's go ahead and try to create for the categories. Okay, just create for a category, and I see, so I'm just going to say here the electronic, I'm just going to say what other categories can we have? I'm just going to have the maybe men's wear. Okay, men's wear. Category, this contains men's clothes. Okay, whatever. Save category. Let's see if this works. saving category, please. So new category created successfully. Let's go to brands. Okay, create the new brand. So here you just create a brand, maybe let's just say here BMW. I don't know if this is, just create the brand title, just save. Okay, new brand created successfully. Okay, so that is great. Okay, so now we have finished all these other ones. Maybe we are remaining with inventory adjustment. Inventory adjustment, let's also take it there. Okay, so let's just go and test with this right now. Let's just also copy this, Control C, just go to adjustments, new page. Okay, for this we have the inventory, add inventory. So you can just go in the add inventory form, and we can just remove this try catch, and you can see how this is going to simplify our life. For even incoming forms we are having, we can send data just via this. So this is API. Let's look at for this. The endpoint is big, so we have API adjustments, and then add API adjustments, and then add. Okay, and this one is going to be new stock. Maybe this one is going to say stock, new stock added successfully. Reset. Maybe you're just going to say adjustment, since this is the adjustment. You can just say stock adjustment. Okay, I think that's it. Make sure this one is imported again on top there. Let's make sure of that. Okay, it's okay. Just go to the second one, which is, I'm just going to copy this one for simplicity. For simplicity, just go to the second one, the transfer. Okay, just like that. Okay, just like that. So just import the makePostRequest API adjustments, and this one is going to be transfer. And let's confirm that. Okay, stock adjustment. Yeah, I just try to create the stock adjustment. Refresh. Okay, just a reference number. I'm just going to put here some number. Enter the quantity of stock to add. Want to add 200 items. Okay, and I'm just guessing in this, if you're adding stock, you must having the item you're adding. We are not only adding the 200, so the 200 of which item. So here we'll have to have the two selects. We must have the select for the warehouse that is going to receive the stock, but we should also select as well the item that we are actually going to transfer. So later this adjustment should also have the item ID. Okay, and let's do that actually. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to where we have select here, and this one I'm just going to give it a class name of width is full, so it takes a half. Okay, and then so we have this text input, we have this other one, reference number, and this is which one I'm on. This is the let's first start with the one for this side. Let's start with text input and the reference number. Let's give it a class name of width is full. Okay, and this is what happens when you're designing a big system. You keep on noticing some things as you go. So text input, the reference number is okay. So we have to select the item primarily. We have to get here the item. Just going to see here. Okay, I have to put here select the item. So this one is going to be item ID. Select the item. Okay, so now here this one is okay. The number, these ones are okay. These ones are okay for now. Let's see. So you should have the select here now. Okay, yeah, select the item. Okay, and you could just come here and give it items. Okay, we have on a branches, just const. These ones are item B, item A, item C. Okay, and we can remove this, and this one's going to be items. Okay, and then they have of course IDs. Okay, and then here I'm just going to come to just take in items, just like that. Okay, so someone has taken the item. They are trying to transfer the amount so that we just we can subtract this quantity very well. Okay, that is good. That is good. So this should be now not working. We're having one more thing. We have to make a relation. Let's just also work on the transfer stock. So the transfer stock, we are going to do the same thing. We need here we have to select the warehouse, but you have again to select also the stock, the item we are giving. So just go to the transfer stock. So in the transfer here, we have to add in one more select. So just get this, and simply after the reference number, you can just put this. And this is going to be item ID. Select the item. select the item as simple as that, and then we have the items. I'm just going to go here, copy the items, take these items to transfer. So just paste these up here. So you have the items, items, and down here I'm just going to come select items, as simple as that. Okay, so select item, then now we can have these ones. Okay, this is okay. Okay, enter the stock. I think the reference number you have to change here. So this one has to take in the full, the reference number, select, and then this one has also take in full. So this, let's see how this changes. Yeah, so reference number, then select item, enter the quantity, then select these branches. So this looks nice. Yeah, this looks much far better. So we just like make these adjustments, and basically what we are adding in all of them is item ID. So if you just go back to our Prisma, so what we just have to add is that we have to add some relation, more especially into this transfer. We have to add in the item ID. So basically I'm just going to duplicate this this thing of warehouse. Just copy this, Ctrl C, just duplicate it, change this to item, and this is going to be of item at relations. So this one is going to be instead of warehouse ID is going to be item ID. Okay, so what is remaining right now is to add these adjustments. Okay, we are just remaining, so I'm just going to add the same thing up there. So this, Ctrl C, just add it to add stock, just like this. Okay, so whenever I just do this, I mean is that an item can have many stock adjustments. Okay, so I'm just going to copy these the way you are seeing them here in the warehouse. Just going to copy these two. One is adjustment, and another is the transfer stock adjustment. Copy these and bring them to the item. Okay, just like last here, you can add this, and this will solve all the errors. Okay, cool. So they all have now the item ID. Okay, I'm just going to stop the server, rerun again. Okay, so Ctrl C and reset, also Ctrl C. Okay, so the first thing is to run, let me clear this. So make sure you run you can run npx prisma generate. So you say this one, it generates a new Prisma client. So npx prisma generate, And by the way, someone was asking me why would I use Prisma over Mongoose. Okay, so the good thing, Mongoose is nice. I have used Mongoose previously, and I have a full CRUD operations using MongoDB, performing CRUD operations in Next.js 13 using Mongoose. I've done, you can check that video. It is there on the channel, and I also did the CRUD for, I also went ahead and did a CRUD for Prisma. And the reason why we are shifting to Prisma is that in the dynamics of hosting the databases, you are not so sure that you are going to stay with MongoDB. There are so many other cheap alternatives that are coming up. You might want to use to shift from MongoDB to, you want to shift maybe to PlanetScale, which is MySQL, or you want to go to Supabase, which is Postgres, or you want to go to Ray, which is also Postgres, or CockroachDB. So you might want to switch the DB as you're working on your project. And now this brings in a problem. If you have written all your queries using Mongoose, which only supports the MongoDB, and it becomes a problem. You have to rewrite all the queries. Now for specifically for the new database you are going to use, maybe Postgres or whatever. So if you're just going to use Postgres, you have to write all the queries, and again you will need, actually at that point you will need to use Prisma. So using Prisma in the first place saves you a lot, because if you want to shift, the only change you are going to make will be only maybe this one, and you can even leave it as a string, and then you use a UUID to generate automatically use. And it can be really, the only thing you'll be changing is literally changing the URL in the schema and maybe modifying the IDs only, and the queries, everything remains exactly the same. So that's why I'm using Prisma, and I'm making you guys to adopt Prisma so that it makes your life easier. Moving on, I'm just going to run npx Prisma db push. Okay, just going to run npx Prisma db push, and this one pushes our schema back to the database. And always do this first up all the servers. I've always faced some challenges if I don't do it. So now you can just run npm run dev. Okay, and then we can also go ahead and run our npx Prisma studio. Okay, and then let's go see here. And those ones who want to use Turbo, you can do npm run dev --turbo. Not yet using that to use in the new 14 Next.js 14. They brought in the turbo. You can pass in the --turbo, though I'm not doing it. Okay, so now at this point here, let's go ahead and try now to create an adjustment. Okay, let's try to create an adjustment, and I'm just going to come here and I put a random number. I just like here put item, and I just put item A. Okay, and the stock transfer wants say 200, and from the select the warehouse what we give. So this one here, it can be the warehouse, maybe branch A is giving branch B, and then you see here the adjustment is good, and here save adjustment. Let's see, something went wrong, and let's just come and see here. You can see and we can just check on the reference. Transfer stock is not defined. Okay, what did we call this? Transfer stock is not defined. Transfer stock, let's first see, are we on the transfer or add? Yeah, we are on transfer. So just go ahead and see, first of all, in the form, what are we sending? So in the form, we start with the reference number, item, transfer stock quantity. Okay, we are sending transfer stock quantity. Did they say transfer stock? Okay. Transfer stock, select warehouse ID, receiving, warehouse ID. All these ones we change them to warehouse. And this, in this case, actually it is good that we have to notice them to make them different. We can't have, there is the receiving and the giving. The warehouse that we give, so this is giving. We are going to make that change in a second. Warehouse, giving warehouse ID. This is important, we name it like this. And even this one, receiving, let's change this to receiving warehouse ID. This is also important, it is named like that, otherwise on subtracting we will not understand, because we have to subtract subtract the quantities. Like for instance, if warehouse A gives 200, we'll have to subtract 200 from warehouse A, and then we add it to warehouse B where it has been added. So we have to identify carefully. Okay, so let me just follow this, Control B. I'm just going to go to the API, adjustments, transfer route. Okay, we did not change this side. So we have the reference number, we have transfer, it is called transfer stock. Let me just get this. So we have the reference, we have item ID, we have transfer stock. First of all, this is transfer stock. So we have the reference number, we have the item ID, which is a string. Now we have the receiving. Let me just come here. We have the giving, and we have also the receiving. Okay, and then we have the notes, I guess. Let me see. I think lastly we have the notes. Okay, yeah, we have the notes. So here we have transfer stock, item ID, giving, receiving, notes, and reference number. These are okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 inputs. Let's check on here. 1, 2. Yeah, there are 6. So these are the ones we have to make sure we have. These ones I can even copy them. Just go to your schema. Okay, just go to your schema, and I'm just going to drop this down. Go to your schema where you have this transfer, and make sure you have the reference number, transfer stock, which is an integer. We have nodes, and now we have two warehouses. So we have this. Let me just copy this. We have the giving warehouse. The giving, they are all just actually taking the warehouse ID. So just say here warehouse. So the relationship is the warehouse, but this we can have giving just like this, and at the same time I don't know how we are going to do this, but I have to give also another one, which is the receiving. Okay, receiving. Receiving warehouse ID. It also, and it is important we also make a relationship. I don't know how this one is supposed to be resolved. So I think we can change the name. I can change here the name here. It doesn't matter. I think giving warehouse, it can be of this. Should it have a problem? This one should be receiving, so this is giving. This one, so giving. Let me just say cut this, and let me just put it down here. This is for the giving. This gives, and now here we're just going to have receiving. Let me just also copy that, receiving. Okay, so now what is remaining is that transfer adjustment. The fields are giving warehouse and warehouse in the model transfer both refer to the warehouse. Please provide different relation names. Okay, so this is very tricky, more than I expected. Okay, so we have the giving warehouse and the receiving warehouse, and they are all of the warehouse. Okay, we have the giving and the receiving. Actually, do we really need to have a, I don't think we need the relationship. We can actually just put them as strings, I guess. Okay, I feel we can give them as strings. The only thing we need is to make sure that we know the warehouse, actually the warehouse ID, because we have to make the subtractions. Okay, we have to know the warehouse ID, but do we really need to make a relationship? Okay, so what you're just going to do is, for now, I'm just going to put giving warehouse ID and receiving warehouse ID, and I'm just going to remove for now this back-to-back relationship, even this one. Okay, just going to have them like that. So you have the giving warehouse ID and then receiving warehouse ID. I just have them as strings, just like that. Okay, now we have one problem. Okay, we have to remove these. I don't think they are now needed. Okay, and then you have this adjustment. Okay, in adjustment, so even this one in that add stock, let's go to this form. So in this form, what we have is the item ID. So we have to add the, even in the transfer stock, we are going to add the item. Okay, I can first remove this. Okay, the item ID we have already added, that is good. So what I just want is, in the add inventory, we have the reference number, we have the item, we have the quantity, we have the let me see, select the warehouse that we receive. So this is the receiving. I'm just going to name this one to receiving receiving warehouse ID. I'm just going to copy it from transfer, just like this, just like that. Okay, and then in the schema, I'm just going to do this, receiving warehouse ID. Okay, just like that. They just go back to the routes, make sure everything is okay here. Now, one thing we have to do is this quantity has to be, so you have to say this is going to be pass int. So you have to convert this to an integer, otherwise it is also going to bring an error. Okay, this has to be an integer, others they are okay. And we have some other things we are missing here, like reference number and item ID. So just copy this and then reference number. Okay, that's great. And I'm just going to do the same for the add. So in the add, first of all, we have the add stock. Okay, we have to go to add stock. So we have add stock to let me first check one thing, guys, on this plus. Okay, so the models here is this. Okay, I'm just going to, for this one, let's check in the, across this, in the Prisma. So we have the reference, add stock, not receiving, and item ID, just like that. Let me just copy some here. Just going to okay, okay. So here is supposed to, we're looking at the name. We are going to give this, okay, I'm just going to make this one smaller, like add stock adjustment. I'm not sure how does the name change, by the way. So here I'm just going to say await db, okay, dot db dot. So this one is, if you check here, is this, we have this transfer. So the name of the model is transfer, so you just make here this one small later, transfer adjustment dot create, okay, and in the create method we pass in this object. So just cut this, and then we pass in an object where we say data, and then on the data is where we add this object. Okay, just like that. Okay, that's good. Just going to copy the same thing, go to the add. So here adjustment is await db dot, so just get this db, make sure it is imported on top, and this is going to be add stock, so just add stock. And let's look at the what we are bringing. We have stock, add stock quantity, okay, add stock quantity, so just add it here, add stock quantity. It has also to be an integer. This one is the receiving. You can just go in the add and you can get this receiving warehouse ID. This one is receiving warehouse ID, and the same side, okay, this side we have reference number, we have notes, reference number, then we have notes. This one has 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, if I just go and check its form, 1 2 3 4 5, okay, it has 5 fields: add stock, receiving warehouse, notes, reference number. Okay, so that's great. So we have adjustment is await db dot add stock adjustment dot create, okay, dot create item ID, reference, and this. Okay, so one more thing now we have to run is update the Prisma. Okay, I'm just going to go down here, Control C, and even this one I'm just going to say Control C. So just run here npx Prisma generate. Okay, so this one will generate a new Prisma client. Okay, and then say npx Prisma db push, npx Prisma db push, and this is going to also push our database. Every time you make anything, any changes, okay, so you can just write now npx Prisma Studio, and then here just going to add npx npm run dev. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's have this running and see. And that's how building a big system, how it is. Just to know, changes will be coming all the time. As you're not seeing the changes, you have to adjust, and in the process you enjoy, have fun changing these things. Do not complicate the learning. Okay, the all the love for the developer, all the passion will actually come in figuring out the errors, not when things are moving on you are styling in css. When it comes to logic, you have to be patient yourself. Okay, and believe that not all the time things are going to come out the way you want. Most of the times things don't actually go the way you want. Okay, but what matters is that at the end of the day you just go back and look into the code, try to figure out what is the problem, keep trying, and if the problem maybe is you are getting stuck so much time, you can ask someone who is above you, or you can google it, you can use ChatGPT, you can use all those resources are there to help. But still, if you can't get a solution, that's where we come in. You can still tell me I'm having this challenge, and even you can actually WhatsApp me. My number is there. You can just WhatsApp me, and we can get in touch and try to see in your problem. But one thing that I always enjoy is debugging, because you will learn a lot of things while you are debugging. Okay, so now I'm just going to refresh this page. I have no idea if this is going to work, what you have changed or not, but let's just be positive that we're just going to work. And this adjustment thing was really tricky, because even the item itself is somehow easy, but the adjustment, I didn't think it will give these all these troubles like this. Okay, but that's how development is. I'm just going to put here a random number. Item C, I'm just going to put here 200. I'm just going to put a branch A. I'm just going to go ahead and add here some notes. Okay, save adjustment. Something went wrong, and we go back. Okay, and this time let's see. So item ID was not defined. And which one are we on? We are on add stock. How comes item did not come around? Okay, we did not receive it here. So make sure here we have item ID. As simple as that. And do not fear errors. Always face your fears. That's the only way you can actually develop. When you see the thing did not work, just say I'm just going to go ahead and try again. Try again. Let's refresh. Okay, let's refresh, and I hope that you find all this very helpful in terms of learning. Okay, so let's add. Something went wrong, and here we see on the sending we have all this stuff, but for some reason they don't reach the side. Let's see what the problem is this time. Okay, so they say this time let's see, Prisma client, this invite Prisma dot create invocation. Then they say inconsistent column data, malformed object ID, provided hex string representation, must be exactly 1 byte. Instead go to this length blah blah for the for the object for the field of receiving warehouse ID. What you can just do is, I'm just going to go to the for instance the warehouse, for the warehouse, and we might even not need to call them, we call them at object when we just like here in the schema here, we call these ones the item ID at db object ID. Okay, so we might just need to just make them just strings, you know. We could just like make them strings, I guess. And for this one you can leave it because it is still working the relationship. But these other ones, since they are now, they went rogue, they just, even this receiving, just remove this object ID. Okay, I'm just going to and unfortunately we have to run the server again, and this time let me just do very fast. And okay, just Control C. I'm just going to run npx, and we can just run db push this time, as if on running the npx prisma db push. I think this one also generates the new it will push and generate a new client. Let's see, instead of running 2 of them, running, you can see it is running the generate, so you don't need actually just run only one. Okay, I'm just going to right now npm run dev. Okay, and this one you could just simply stop it and rerun it, this. Okay, and let me just go back to here. Okay, I'm just going to drop this off. Okay, so let me just go back, refresh. Okay, and this time I think it will be the item that has the problem because of the ID that we are putting. I don't know. Okay, so just going to come here, just create just like this, just a 200 branch some nodes. Okay, just create, and this is going to block maybe this, and this must be for the item ID. Let's check item ID. And let's see. Okay. Inconsistent column, malform object ID, blah blah. Yep, you can see it is for the item. Okay, so now what we just do is that we have to first go actually create the item. Okay, and now to create the item we have to if you just go to the new item, you see that we have to have all these, the HPs. Okay, we have these to fetch all the brands, fetch all suppliers, in order to create in order to create that, you have to fetch the categories. You have to fetch all these things. So what we have to do is we have to create an API endpoint that is going to help us actually fetch the data. Okay, so I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to end this episode here. I feel like now fetching of all this one, we need to take a break. So I'm just going to end this episode here, but thank you for watching. And if you're learning, you can see how we are doing all the troubleshooting together. We are doing the learning together, and if you're enjoying this, and this is the only way. By the way, most people on YouTube, if you're watching the videos, these are the parts that they don't include, but I leave them in the video for you to see them. And the reason why I leave them is to give you first the confidence that everyone can meet errors. That is one thing. Two, that actually you see how we troubleshoot the errors. Okay, most of the errors I leave them on the screen. I just go, maybe if it fails, I go and make research, then come solve the problem. Okay, so and then I show you how actually I overcame the problem. So it is good that you face the errors instead of getting bored of the app, because after all, every app that is going to be good and unique, you are going to meet a lot of challenges while building that app. So the most important thing is not to run away from your code, is to actually face the problem and then research about the problem. Okay, and then try to know, okay, for instance, you can see we have the problem of object ID, but in my experience is that if you just of course this one has a problem. So but in my experience is that most times is that for instance, that object ID, we are mapping it to these objects like this. You can see this is an object ID, these ones here, and they have specific characters that are attached to them. That's why we're having these issues here. Okay, you can see exactly 12 bytes. Instead got this length 15 for the figures. So you can see they try to explain the problem, and if you know, if I expand this and we look at this problem, if it is object ID, they have you can see a representation must be exactly 12 bytes. Okay, instead got this. That means we really need to work with exact stuff. Okay, we need to work with exact stuff, which is really okay. We are going to work on creating this item in the next episode. We start with data fetching. We'll fetch all the data for different modules, and then we'll use them in our module for creating the item. Thank you so much for watching this episode. See you in the